Okay, it says, Leo wants to buy some shoes. He found the shoes at 3 different stores for a price of $35. The store are each having a sale. Store X is offering 15% off the price of shoes. Store Y is offering $5 off the price of shoes. Store Z is offering a 1/5 discount off the price of the shoes. Which statement about the sales price of these shoes is true? So what we need to do is find out what the sale price is and then compare it. So if we know the shoes are $35 and they're offering 15%, well, remember, you guys know how to do 10%. So how do we find 10% out of 35? Yeah, move the decimal how many times though? One time. So if we have $35, I'm going to make this bigger. So 35, I'm going to move it one time. So that means I'm taking away 350. But that's only 10%. Okay, we still need the 5%. And how can we do 5%? Can we just take half of 350? Wouldn't that be 5%? So then what would be half of 350? So let's look at this way. So what's half of 3? 1.5. What's half of 50? 25. So 1.5 plus 25 cents, it'll be 175, right? Okay, so now that we know those discounts, then we need to subtract it from 35. So 350 plus 175 is going to give you 525, right? So we're subtracting that from 35. Minus 525. Remember, it is $35, so you do need to add the decimal and the zeros. You subtract this by regrouping. So 10 minus 5 is 5, 9 minus 2 is 7. 4 minus 5 we can't do, so we regroup again. So that's 14 minus 5 is 9, and 2 minus 0 is 2. So the price for store X is $29.75. So if you look, store X says has the best sale price of $20. So, well, that's not true, right? So we know that one's going to be wrong. Okay, let's look at store Y. Store Y is offering $5 off. So $5 off would be what? 30, right? So let's see what it says about store Y. Store Y has the best price for $30. Well, we still don't know if it's the best price, but we know that that is kind of true, sort of true. So let's look at store Z. Now, store Z is offering a 1/5 discount. So what we do 35 times 1/5. And remember, when we do that, it's basically 35 divided by 5. So what's 35 divided by 5? 7, right? So then you subtract 7 from 35. 35 minus 7 is going to give you 20 what? 28. That's correct. So then that means store Z is $28. So if you look, store Z has the best sales price of $28. So would that be correct?
Yes.
So it is better than $30, isn't it? And then store Z has the best sale price of $7. What did they forget for letter J? They're saying that the price is $7. Letter J says store Z has the best sale price of $7. They forgot to subtract. So don't make that mistake and choosing that one. So we know that H is true with the $30, but it's not the best sale price. So that's why our answer is letter G. Guys, this is percent, and percents we're going to be using a lot with bar graphs when they have percent increase. So make sure you know how to do this. If you need to take shortcuts, then the 10%, 5% rule applies. Okay, so let's look at the other two. says solve the inequalities below. You have 4x minus 8 is less than negative 24. So basically, you have to solve it the same way as you do equations. So what would be the first thing I need to do? What am I doing?
Subtract the 24.
Adding the 24? Adding what?
Adding 8.
Adding 8. You always start with the side with the variable. So then 4x, you bring it down. Negative 8 and positive 8 are 0 pairs. Negative 24 and positive 8, are we adding or subtracting? Subtracting. So 24 minus 8 is 16. Is it positive or negative?
Wait, negative.
Negative, because you have more of the negatives. And now we're going to divide by 4. So x will equal to negative 4. So that means on the graph, we're going to go ahead and put 4, and it's not equal to, x has to be less than negative 4, so am I going left or right?
Right.
Left. Because everything has to be less than negative 4. And remember, negatives, it's the opposite way. Okay, let's look at the next one. It says solve, and it should be open circle, not closed circle. So open circle. Okay, solve the inequality below. So you have negative 3x plus 4 is less than or equal to negative 14. So again, we're going to start by doing what? Subtracting 4. So we have negative 3x. 4 minus 4 is 0. Negative 4 and negative 14 will be negative 18, because they're both negative, so we're adding them. Now we're going to divide by negative 3. Now with inequalities, what happens to the symbol when you divide or multiply by a negative? To undo. It changes. So that means that x is going to be greater than or equal to 6. So we have 6. Because it does have the equal to, we are including it. And x has to be greater than, so it's going to go to the right. Guys, remember these?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same thing as equation, except that now you have to look at the symbol. Okay, any questions on this? Okay, so it is Friday, so make sure you turn in your warm-up. So you have a foldable, basically, so all you have to do is fold it in half after we finish working on this. We're starting bar graphs today. Now, bar graphs, we're really not looking for mean, median, mode, and range like we did with the dot plots. We're looking to compare and to make inferences. And remember, inferences means that you're just looking at the graph and checking to see what the statement, if the statements are correct. Now, also, bar graphs, we have to do percents. And the warm-up helped with those percents. But remember, when you don't know the 10% rule or the 1% rule, all you have to do is multiply or use the cross products. So if you use the cross products, that would be a lot easier to set up than when you're trying to find out 10% or 1%. So let's go ahead and start with what they're giving us. So it says a custodian at an elementary school is painting the playground. The custodian asked students in the school what color they wanted the playground painted. The results are shown below. So basically, this is a bar graph, and the first thing to do is actually write the number over the bars. So we have red is 80, orange is 120, yellow is 20, green is 110. Yeah. Blue is 70. Purple is 60. And pink will be 40. Okay. So now that we know that, basically when we're looking for percent, we have to find a total. So let's go ahead and add those up. So we have 80 plus 120 is going to give you 200. 200 plus 20 is 220. 220 plus 110 is 330. Plus 70 is 400. Plus 60 is 460. Plus 40 is 500. So basically, the custodian asked how many children? 500 children, right? Okay, so now that we know that, then we could answer any question based on this information already. So let's go ahead and go to the questions. So I have them in a different slides, but I know it was 500 students. And you guys already have the information on the top. So the first question is, based on the bar graph, what percent of students chose yellow for the playground? So how many chose yellow? 20. So the way you would do this is they're asking for percent. Whenever they ask for percent, you always have to set up one of the ratios with 100 on the bottom, because that's the information you're looking, and percent is part of 100. So then they're asking for yellow, so yellow is 20, and the total is 500. So now, in order for me to go from 100 to 500, it's times 5, right? So 20 divided by 5. Why am I dividing and not multiplying it?
Because you're trying to get the percent.
Yes, I am trying to get the percent, but I said that I was doing this way times 5, right? But I'm going backwards, so that's why I'm dividing by 5. So 20 divided by 5 is 4. So that means what? Yeah, 4% are 4% of the students chose yellow. Simple, right? Could you have done cross products? Yeah, all you had to do is multiply 100 times 20, which is 2,000 divided by 500, it'll be 4. It's still 4%. Okay. The next one says, based on the bar graph, which colors were chosen by 40% of the student survey? So now we're going back and seeing how many students out of 500 chose those colors. So what we're going to do, we're going to set it up again. So we're going to go ahead and put 40 now over 100. Because remember, when they give you a percent, you put that over 100. Now we know that the total is 500. So we're looking for how many students chose was 40%. So now, again, 100 times 500, it's times 5. So 40 times 5 is what? 200. Now let's go ahead and see which one of those add up to 200. Okay, so we know that green was 110, blue was 70. So when you add those, 110 plus 70 gives you 180. So is that 200? No. Okay, red is 80 and orange is 120. Does that give you 200? Yes. So I'm still going to look at the other ones just in case. Yellow is 20, pink is 40, and purple is 60. So 60 plus 60 is 120, so we know that's not right. And orange is 120? And green is 110. That's way too much, isn't it? Okay, so that means my answer is letter B. So see how we got our answers? We went ahead and found out that 200 students was 40%, and then we saw which ones add up to 200. Okay? Any questions on that one? Again, they're percent, so we need to be careful with those. Okay, so let's go to the next part. Okay, so again, they're going on the bar graph. It's the same thing with the bar graph. And you guys still have it on your paper. I have to do it over again because I put it in different slides. So blue was 70, 60, 40. Okay, based on the bar graph, what percent more of students chose green than blue? So that means I need to find green, the percent of green, and the percent of blue. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at green. So green was 110 over 500. And that's going to equal to x over 100. Now, basically, if we go from here to here, we're dividing by what? Dividing by 5. So now 110 divided by 5, it's going to be what? So 110 divided by 5. 2. 2. So that means that green was 22%. Everybody's good so far? Okay. So now let's look at blue. Blue, we have 70 out of 500. And we're going to see what percent that is. So again, from 500 to 100, you divide by 5. So 70 divided by 5. So let's do that. 70 divided by 5. So 5 into 7. 5 into 20. So then that means this is 14%. So did we answer the question?
No.
No. What else do we need to do now?
We need to subtract.
We need to subtract because it says what percent more of students chose green than blue. So we're going to go ahead and subtract it. 22 minus 14. So 12 minus 4 is going to give us 8. So our answer is 8%. So that's a lot of work, isn't it? But when we're working with percents, you have to do what the question is asking you. Okay. Now, sometimes they'll give you information and then they want you to make predictions. And if you look at the next questions, it's asking you to look at the predict out of 800 voters, not 500 children. So if there are 800 registered voters, how many would you expect to vote for purple? So you're going to go based on that. So how many are expected? So we're looking only at people, we're not looking at percent. So we know that purple was 60. So we're going to go with 60, and it's still out of 500. Now we're changing it to 800, so we're trying to find out what that amount is. So can I find a scale factor here? No. So I could do what? Cross products. So we're going to multiply 800 times 60. So we have 1, 2, 3 zeros, and 6 times 8 is 48. So now we're going to do what with it? Divide it by 500. So let's go ahead and do that. 48,000 divided by 500. And guys, what can we do with our zeros? Yeah, cross 2 zeros, and now it's just 480 divided by 5. We would still get the same answer? Yeah, because all we did was simplify it. So 5 into 48 goes 9 times, right? So that's 45, remainder is 3. Bring the 0 down. 5 into 30 is 6 times, so that's going to be 0. So that means what? 96 what? What does a 96 represent? 96 voters, right, will choose purple. So 96 voters will choose purple out of the 800. So basically, when we're looking at bar graphs, what strategy are we using? Cross products, right? That's what we do. You do cross products, and then if you use cross products all the time, then it will help you find the answer easily. Now, guys, I know some of you don't want to do the scale factor, and that's fine. As long as you're using cross products, it'll help you find the answer. Any questions? Okay, so this goes in your composition book. It's in the new unit. Make sure you're putting it in unit 6. And you do have an assignment. It's only 3 questions, so I expect you guys to finish it. Only 3 questions, so I'll go ahead and give that to you now.